So welcome again. Thank you everybody for being here. Today's topic is the truth about downsizing and simplifying. And everybody here in the room has a handout. Did everyone get a binder? Does everyone have a binder? We've started distributing binders. So instead of you having all of this paper in your hands, you have a binder and you can just bring that along each time and keep adding the notes to it. For those who are at home, the link that went out this morning has a link towards the bottom of the email with a link you can click on and you can download the handout. So the email you probably used to get on, at the bottom of that, you'll find a link that has the handout there for you. What else, Annette?
I think you covered that.
Other housekeeping. So the way it's going to work today is a little bit different. Normally I'm moderating and interviewing panelists. Well, today, Annette, my wife and business partner, both of us are going to be the panelists today. And then we have a special guest panelist, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. One thing we did want to make mention of.
Yeah, we have, in order to put these on, we have some fabulous sponsors to make it possible for us. They're not all able to come because of the situation that we're in, limited seating in the room. So we have a spotlight sponsor this month, and we'd like to hear a few words from Debbie Wood, from our lender.
Perfect time.
It is perfect timing.
Hello, I'm Debbie Wood. I am a senior residential loan officer and a certified mortgage advisor. I arrange a variety of home loans, including VA, FHA, conventional, and reverse mortgages, which is a special loan just for seniors. I love my work, and although it's like yesterday, I've been arranging home loans in our area for 34 years. I'm sure you have questions, and the answers start with a phone call.
So thank you, Debbie. And Debbie actually just walked into the room. So if you have questions today, for those in the room, you can actually speak to Debbie in person.
Hello, I'm Debbie Wood.
So let's jump up here, Annette. Let's go.
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about downsizing, but we have several words that are interchanged: downsizing versus right-sizing versus simplifying. Downsizing typically means where you're downsizing from a larger residence into a smaller residence. It could also mean simplifying, where you're staying in the same residence, but you're simplifying your space. You're getting rid of some things that you don't need anymore or do not serve their purpose for you anymore. And then right sizing is simply making the space better for you. So it could be that you make a move, but you make a lateral move. So maybe from a 2-story house to a 1-story house, but the square footage is exactly the same. So we're talking about all three of those today. And in some cases, we're going to be interchanging them.
Great, Annette. And for those who don't know, I know there's a number of new people, especially online. Annette and I, we own a real estate business here locally and also a move management business. So we spend the majority of our time helping seniors who are going through transition and downsizing, and that's why we're the panelists today. And we've done this topic in different forms over the past 4 or 5 years, different variations of it, but people keep asking us to talk more about downsizing, and we know that is something a lot of people are looking at, thinking about, or in the process of doing so, and hence why we're doing this topic again, because again, a lot of people had asked us to do it. So if you've done one of our downsizing topics, I think we did it maybe 2 years ago, today will be different again. We always mix it up and make it totally different. So as we all know, one of the hardest things to do anything new or to make a change is just that process of getting started. Would everyone agree? Mm-hmm. It's difficult when something new comes up. And for those who have been here in past years, I always share my office at home with the audience. And you can see my office needs still a lot of work. It hasn't
changed at all.
Hasn't really changed. So again, the hardest part is just getting started. But I'm sure most of you would agree this office needs some help. So I'm looking for volunteers to come over home this afternoon and help me start sorting through all of this. Well, as you all know, I'm joking. Those who have been here before, it's not really my office, but yeah, if we have overwhelm like that, we're not necessarily wanting to move, we're wanting to simplify the office, and it can just be tough to get started because it's like, oh my God, where do I start? I'm just overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're going to kind of talk about today. So one of the questions we have is, how do I know when it's time to move or simplify? So today's going to be a lot about helping people understand the process of perhaps right sizing, downsizing, but we don't necessarily have to move to simplify. So we're going to talk a little bit about the differences as Annette touched on, and some techniques as far as simplifying goes. But how do we know if it's time to move or simplify? Does anyone have any ideas? Any suggestions how we might know? Anybody?
We talked about this last month, actually, and talking about the basically cues to you as far as your voice, you talking to yourself, the things that you say to yourself, the things that you say to other people. You start complaining about things. For instance, my house is too big. I can't keep it clean. The yard is too large. I'm not able to keep up with it. I used to have the most beautiful yard in the neighborhood, and now look at it. I just can't, I don't have the energy for it anymore. Those things that the conversations that you're having with other people, and then also the conversations that you're just having with yourself in your own head can be cues that you need to make a change. And that doesn't necessarily mean moving house, but it can mean just making some kind of change within your own home.
Yeah, so last month, was anyone here for the seminar last month? Yeah, the truth about aging in the best place, trying to work out, is where I am now the best place or somewhere else? And obviously that can change over time. I might be in the best place today, but in 10 years' time, maybe where I am is not the best place. So this slide that we have up now should be familiar for those who were with us last month, where we kind of touched on some of the triggers, and they're actually in the handout. And did you want to touch on just some of the examples of the triggers?
Yeah, I mean, like I was talking about, just your conversations with yourself, but then also, what are you interacting? How are you interacting with your own environment? So when we're able to master our environment, it means that we're able to take care of everything in our home. We're able to do things for ourselves, cook, clean, or at least have the means to hire people to do that for us. If you're in a position where you're no longer able to do those anymore, and you don't have the mastery, then it's looking at other options. So whether moving or if you're not able to hire anybody to come in and do it for you, it's pretty much moving and what other resources there are that are available for you. And then also just being in your comfort zone. It is very difficult to move from a home that you've been in for many years, and you have all your things, your comforts that bring you joy surrounding you. But it's recognizing, being able to take those things that bring you so much joy and being in a space that you also have mastery of. So you want to have both of those.
Exactly. So we've talked a couple of times, I think this year or last year, about stages of change or stages of readiness. And again, those are denial, thinking, planning, and taking action. And I bring that up because we can look at it in two ways. One way today is we have people online and here in the room who are at one of those stages. Some people are being dragged here by their spouse and are in denial, but got dragged along perhaps. Others are here because they're thinking about what does the future look like. And then there's some who are planning at the moment on making a move. And then there's others I know who are already in the process and are taking action, whether it was action coming today or action because they've already booked their mover and know where they're going. But then we also have denial in terms of what Annette just talked about, those changes we feel where we just don't feel the same anymore, but we kind of push those out of our mind, like everything's good, where I am is fine. And we're kind of in denial. Up and down the stairs, it's hard, but I'm just going to deny the fact that that's challenging and I'm in pain and so forth. So there's different forms of denial.
I also think that that's fear of the unknown. You know what you have now. You're able to handle it, even though you're not able to handle it as well as you used to. Is moving or changing things, is it going to really make it better? So that can be denial as well, just the fear.
Most certainly. So today we're really going to focus on the more of the planning and action part in terms of the stages. So those who've already thought about wanting to make a move and are somewhere in that process, but this will be helpful to everybody, even if you're in denial. That's why a lot of people come to the seminars, is just to understand, well, what might the future look like? What are some of the changes? What are my peers dealing with? So you can kind of start to think about, okay, do I need to maybe make a change one day? So we just wanted to talk about a couple of myths. And the first myth we have up here is, I'm too old to downsize and it's not worth the hassle. So has anyone ever thought, I'm too old to go back to college, or I'm too old to take up that hobby, or I'm too old to, so that's kind of common. And part of the reason for that in psychology is the closer we think we are to perceive death, our perception of where death is, because is there anyone here who's not going to die? Yeah, we all have an expiry date, don't we, unfortunately? So the closer we think we are to that event, the less likely we are to make change. And that's a generalization, but for most people, that's kind of true. So one of the challenges with that is, if I bring up this slide, here we are today, and if this is a timeline, so looking at time, for those who can see the slide. Can our audience at home see that, Alexa? Perfect.
I had a lady that I spoke with not too long ago that she said that she was going to last until she was 85 because that's when her life insurance ends.
I'm not sure what she planned on that day when the policy ends, but yeah. So if this is my death at some time, doesn't look like it's too far away, if we use just me as an example, I'm probably not wanting to make major change, am I? I probably don't want to go and take on another degree or take on a hobby. Maybe I do, maybe I don't, but I'm less likely. But let's say, for example, I'm not going to die when I thought I was. I have longer. Then are my decisions perhaps a little bit different? If I knew, if I had a crystal ball, and unfortunately we don't. And what if it was even longer again? What if I, instead of living, I think my expiry date is 80, I end up living to 90, I live to 100.
Or how about the lady that passed away recently at 116? Do you think at 90 she knew that she was going to live to 116? Like, yeah.
Yeah, so none of us know how long. So we shouldn't put off things that could improve our life, whether it's learning, a hobby, making a move, whatever would better our situation. We should keep moving forward as if we're going to live forever instead of holding ourselves back, being in denial, or because we think we don't.
I think part of that is living your best life. So if there's something that's holding you back now, what if that is no longer there anymore? To live whatever life you have left, your best life, and to embrace that.
Yeah, that's true whether you're 20, 50 or 100. Yeah. So I'm just curious, we wanted to just do a quick poll of where people think they are. And this is more related to right sizing. So perhaps making a move. So actually, can you bring up the poll, Alexa, or should I? You're going to bring that up? Yeah, so we just wanted to know if you are in denial, and that would be, I'm never moving. And that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm never moving, so you'll be with me. And then secondly,
if you're just thinking about moving.
Yeah, if you're in the thinking stage. So you realize that maybe one day you might need to move. It's definitely not today, but you're aware of maybe things will change or things are starting to change. And that might be why you're here today, just to gather information. And then the third one is in the planning stage. So you know you're going to make a move, maybe not quite sure when or where, but you're starting to plan and get together the information in order to make that. And then the fourth one is in action. So you've toured some communities or some smaller homes or gone to see housing where your children might be living because you plan on moving there or whatever the case may be, but you're actually taking action. You know you're going to move. You might not be quite there yet, but you're taking actions that are going to get you closer to that. So I'm just curious with the results as that comes in. So most people are in the planning. We have I can't read the percentages. That screen's not very clear. Most people are in the thinking, are they? Yeah, so that's a great place to be.
64%.
64% are thinking, yeah. And we should all be thinking about the future and changes and so forth. And then we have some that are, you guys in the audience can see the results better than me. Can we share that with the...
Yeah, do you want me to end it?
Let's give it another moment or two. So if you haven't already voted, vote, and then Annette will end that so you can all see the results. That's probably
Alexa
good, Alexa.
Will end it.
Oh, sorry, who did I say?
Me.
Yeah, I'm confused.
I'm not doing anything.
A few more votes. And then there's a few people there in the action stage. So the whole point of us doing the seminars, not the whole point, but part of it, is to help people get out of denial, whatever that's about, and be in the thinking mode. Just be curious, wanting to learn and what the future may hold. And
but it's more than that. It's also what steps to take, where to start, and who to reach out to that can help you with the process.
Most definitely. Okay, so we'll just leave that up so the audience at home can see those results. And I guess now my clicker doesn't work with that up, so.
Maybe take it down.
Yeah. Yeah, my clicker still doesn't work. Are you able to advance to the next slide? Or maybe I need to go back and... Yes, because that's... There we go. Yeah, so we just encourage people to be in the thinking phase. So we have some other myths. So that was the first one, I'm too old to downsize. Second one, the moving experience will be like the last time I moved. Who moves quite some time ago? 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago? Yeah, number of people. Do you think it'd be just as easy today if you had to move as it was back then? Feeling as strong and as energetic? And no, I hear a lot of no's and shaking heads. No, so that's a myth. We think it'll be just like last time, and we know that's not the case. So in everybody's handout, we have like 20 different myths, and it's good just to review and read those because a lot of them are definitely myths, and the truth is quite the opposite to what they are. So I just encourage everybody, when you have a spare moment, we won't go through them all today. So that's your homework. So what we wanted to talk about was the right sizing process for those who are thinking about making a move at some point in the future, whenever that might be. And the best way we thought to do that, given we help so many people in the process, is to just talk about the process we use, and anyone else can adapt that same process, those same steps. It's the same whether you're doing it yourself or you have help or whatever the case may be. So our first step is making a decision. So can you just talk about making a decision, Annette?
Absolutely. So you need to decide, what is it that you want? Ignore what your current situation is, but what is it that you want? So is it maybe just decluttering your current space? Maybe your house and your space that you have is great. It's just you've got too much there. So then that's what we need to focus on. So the second one is, if you decide that where you are isn't going to work for you, then look at what the other possibilities are. Look around where you may want to move to. Go and tour different communities. Go look at apartments if you want to maybe move to an apartment, or speak with a real estate agent about what other housing options there are that would more suit your needs. So you want to really find that place. And if you want to live closer to your children, go visit your kids and see what kind of housing options are available that would be suitable to you. Go in and tour them, find out what the floor plan is, get a real good idea of where you're moving to so that you can get excited about it. It is much easier to plan when you know where you're going. Now, I've had a few people that say, I just want to be out of my house. I'm going to get in my RV. We're going to travel a little bit and then we'll figure it out. But more often than not, I have people that want to stay in their home until they know where they're going to next. And that's where the paralysis is. So really look to see what your options are and find what suits your needs and what you're happy with and what that square footage is going to be, because then that will help with the next step. If you're staying put, those options now is just looking at, okay, what do I need to do to change my current circumstance? Do I need to pull out all the rugs so that there's less of a tripping hazard? Do I need to hire help to help me in the home? If my spouse needs more assistance and it's too much for me to be a caregiver, then maybe getting help for your spouse so that you have time. It's just being able to change your current situation. And you know what? We can retrofit too. So putting in grab bars, putting in the carrier, the stairs. I don't know what that noise is, but the stairs going up to going upstairs. So if you want to stay in your current home, but you need to go upstairs, I'm very distracted, sorry.
Or putting in a ramp, or even a simple example is my office. Just that overwhelm or that feeling of having too much stuff around, just taking care of and decluttering can give that feeling of freedom. Not looking at all of the stuff that's piled up everywhere can give you a whole new lease on life. So.
Thank you, Brett. And then if you're looking at moving, so you've already know what your square footage that you're moving to, because you've already done your homework and you know where you're going to be going. Then we just focus on what are those things that you want to take with you. You only focus on what's important to you. What is it that you would make the next space feel like home? What are your belongings that you just can't live without, whether it be pictures, it be furniture, whatever it is. And then we look at the space and make sure that those items can fit in your space, because the last thing you want to do is move to a smaller space that's going to suit your needs and then not be able to move around in it. So it's really important to have that balance. But if you've already done your homework, you know where you're going, then we look at what you're going to take with you. You don't focus on any of the stuff you're leaving behind. I have a lot of people that will really focus on, I need to get rid of all of this. I need to donate all these other things. Don't worry about all of that. Just focus on what you want to take with you and leave everything else.
Because I think that's where people have paralysis again. They're just focused on, well, what about all the other stuff I have to deal with, and therefore never do anything.
And what happens if I get rid of it and then I want it later on? So just focus on what are those really important things that you want to take with you.
And you can take photographs of all the other things to keep memories is another great technique lots of people use. So next step is then the move.
So the move. So there's an organization called NASM, National Association of Senior Move Managers. They are across the United States. If you're planning on moving out of state, or if you're planning just moving in the area, there are move managers that can help you with that. So let's say that you want to meet with your children that are in another state. You connect with a move manager in that. They see the space that you're moving into, and especially if you're moving into a senior community in another state, a lot of the senior communities do work with move managers. They will see the space that you're moving into, they can take measurements of it for you, and then you know exactly what you're going to be moving with you. And then here locally, either your children can help you, or you can hire a move manager to help you, just what is going to fit in that space. They will oversee the packing. So you hire somebody to pack you. The movers can do the packing. They will actually move you across the state, and then they will unload the truck. But if you have a move manager to meet the movers on the other end, they will unpack everything for you. They will put it away for you. You can definitely be there to be an oversight, but you don't have to do all this yourself. There is help to make this process easier for you.
Yeah, hanging the pictures, getting rid of all the empty boxes, and just making that process a lot easier. And did you want to mention the link on there for NASM? If anyone
Oh, yes. If you go to www.nasmm.org, National Association of Senior Move Managers.org, they have move managers across the country that can assist you. And in some areas you have lots of options, other areas there aren't a whole lot of options. But some of those move managers, they recently changed the logo because a lot of the move managers also specialize in just organizing your space. So even if you weren't planning on making a move, but you would like some help just organizing your space, they can help with that. All right, now what do you do with all the things that you've left behind? It's easy to talk about what you want to take with you. What happens with all of those? Estate sales. If you start getting rid of your items that you don't want, if you start donating them, and before you bring in an estate sale person, you may not have enough items for an estate sale. That's why we talk about focusing on what you want to take with you, because the estate sale person can come in and they can literally sell everything. They even sell shampoo bottles that are partially used. They sell cleaning products. They sell absolutely everything out of your house. So don't get rid of those things. Let the estate sale person take a look at it, and then they will go through it, sell everything they can. They will dispose of those items that they weren't able to sell, or those items that do have value that they weren't able to sell. They can go to a consignment shop. There are other options. Can go to an auctioneer. So really, you may not know what is of value of your home. And a lot of times we talk to our clients about the fact we want to use the items in your home that you don't want. We want to make enough money from those so they help pay for the movers to your next place. It helps with the cost of it. So don't get rid of those things. Focus on what you want to take with you. And that helps simplify the entire process. Once the estate sale happens, and we do estate sales, sometimes we do them before we put a home on the market, so then the house ends up being vacant. The downside to that is a vacant house, when buyers walk through it, they notice everything the flooring, the walls. So if things aren't pristine, those really stand out in a vacant house. The other way to sell it is we stage the home with what you have left in the house. Staging just means thinning it out, moving things around so it looks really nice for photographs. And then when people walk through, your items are now a distraction for buyers as they walk through your home. And they don't notice the flooring and the walls as much as if it was completely vacant. So it really depends on the situation. We sell homes, and agents across the country sell homes empty and occupied. So, but it's just being aware of those solutions. And if you do the estate sale after you sell the house, it just means that during the time that it is in escrow, the estate sale happens, and then close of escrow, it's passed on to the next buyer.
And all these steps are in your handout for those in the room, and those at home have the handout. And for those in the room, we have a more detailed version on the back table if anyone wants more detail. And then our last two steps.
So we call it a celebration. It can be a celebration. We want you to be happy about your new space that you're in. It can also be a time where you're mourning the fact that you've made the move, because there are going to be things that you're going to be missing about your new space. Just know that that is normal. That's completely normal. And to embrace your new normal, to be learning about your new space, what kind of freedom you now have, because there was a reason why you made a move in the first place. There was a voice talking to you, telling you that there were issues about your current residence or your current situation. So embrace that fact that you don't have that issue anymore, and find out what really brings you joy in your new space. And then, like we're talking adjustment, oftentimes it can take a month or two, sometimes 3 months for an adjustment. Those people that plan longer and really have already embraced that they're going to make the move, the adjustment's a lot easier. It's the ones that where it's more sudden because they have to make the move. And that's one of the things we really talk about is plan, and know what you want. So when that move happens, makes it a lot easier for you, and your adjustment is a lot easier. All right, I am really excited. We have a special guest today, and Kimiko Kraus. And Kimiko we've known her for 5 years. She's come to our seminars from the very beginning when we were at the library. And she has always been very education minded, and really always told us, I'm not going to be making a move anytime soon, but I always learn something new. Well, she recently did make a move. And we thought this was perfect. And she has graciously offered to talk to all of us about her process, because her process is very similar. We've talked to so many people. The process that she's gone through is very similar to the stories we've heard. So we think that you can get a lot from Kimiko. So I'd like to welcome her to the stage. Come on up, Kimiko. Move this over here. There you go. Why don't you have a seat here? All right, Kimiko, can you, is your mic on?
I don't know.
Oh, yes, it is. We can hear you. Perfect.
I'm ready to bolt.
Okay. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about Kimiko's process. So the process of you basically the planning process, and then your actual move, and then how are things now that you've made the move? Because so many people, as we saw in the chart we brought up, most people are just thinking about it. So they haven't gone through the entire process that you have. So there's some wisdom. So how long did you think about making the move before you did it?
Actually, it started about 4 or 5 years ago that I began to wonder if I bought a brand new home and everything, and it was paid for. So I had no problems about staying in this home. But I guess there was just this little thing behind me that always said, are you sure this is the right place for you to be? And then I started having health issues. And they really exacerbated my thinking. So I did check out about 4 or 5 senior retirement places, wondering if what I was thinking was okay, or was I just being paranoid and I'll just do fine in my lovely home. But as health issues pursued, I became aware of the fact that I could not stay in my home. I'd only been in it for about 6.5 years, which isn't very long. And I love my home. I could never say anything bad about my home, but somehow it wasn't coinciding with my health. And I found that I needed to hire people to do the things I used to be able to do. Simple things like trimming my roses or thatching the lawn. That's hard, but I could do it, no problem. Washing my windows. But all of a sudden I found out I couldn't physically do any of these things. And so that really made a huge dent in my thinking. So I did start my investigation. I visited 4 or 5 senior retirement homes, looking at each one, got my free lunch. And that's a motivating factor, you know, is someone going to be feeding me at noon? But yeah, I got a very nice tour. Some of the homes were pretty good. Some of them I disliked immensely, and it was just a personal thing. And so I kind of stopped for a while, stopped looking.
Can I back you up a little bit?
Sure.
Because one of the things that Kimiko, she came to all our events. She was incredibly social. And because of her health issues, she stopped coming. And it was kind of a shock to Brett and I, because we were so used to seeing Kimiko at our seminars. And she'd come to our workshop. She basically came to everything that we did. And then all of a sudden, not come at all. And I called Kimiko on quite a few occasions, just checking in, seeing how things are doing. And Kimiko has a very happy spirit. But as time went on, that spirit, she wasn't so happy anymore when I would talk to her on the phone. And oftentimes we talked about your ailments. Isn't that right, Kimiko?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So those conversations that you're having with your friends, pay attention to that. Pay attention to what you're saying to other people. Because you talked previously, Kimiko, about how it kind of snuck up on you. Things changed. You got used to the new normal for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm the 3rd youngest in our retirement home. Most of my friends there are in their 80s and 90s. And there are only 2 people younger than me. And so right now, that makes me the 3rd one. And at 76, I never thought I'd be in a retirement home. But it just turned out that I had to seriously, really reconsider. I mean, to leave a brand new home that's paid for to live in a retirement home, it's an enormous adjustment. It is.
Before we get to your adjustment, though, part of what we were talking about, because I want to talk a little bit more about just that process that you went through as far as making this move, because like you said, you had bought your home, wasn't that old, and you talked about how great it was. And, you know, it's about 1,600 square feet, the house itself, single level, small, manageable yard.
Very manageable. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it wasn't like this huge home or, you know, with huge grounds,
No.
but it was very isolating too.
Yeah. I mean, my neighbors were wonderful. And, you know, when we saw each other outside, it was great, but they all had different lives. 2 of them were married, they had children, and that was just a different life that I would never be in. And one lady was a widow. So there were 4 houses in a little cul-de-sac. But you find out that you don't see your neighbors that often. And you can't go over there because the grandchildren are over there. You know, you're kind of intruding on their lives. So I found that I didn't really see anybody at all. And it became an isolation issue where I realized I never saw anybody. I could go 2 weeks without seeing a single soul. And that's a long time never to talk to anybody. And so I realized that my nemesis, depression, was slowly setting in. I had lost my husband 16 years ago. So that was an enormous hurdle I don't wish on anybody. But as time went on, I got used to being a widow. But then maybe moving to the house wasn't the best idea because once again, I was alone. But it was a house I loved. So I could always say, I love this house. I love this house. You know, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. But it wasn't fine. My depression got worse and worse without really knowing it was happening. You know, pretty soon, I mean, I have pets and they keep me company, but just to physically talk to somebody or maybe have lunch with somebody, those things didn't happen. And it really escalated. And there were many times when Annette called me. I mean, I was just at the bottom of the rain barrel. You know, my health issues were getting bad. The depression was compounding my health issues. And then more health issues came. And, but it's terrible to say that I think I'm going to give up my house because I'm depressed, but you'd be surprised how the depression just masks everything. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. I can do this. I can do this. But I think that the culminating thing, besides everything that was going on, was the fact that my backyard wasn't big, but my backyard, I planted roses all on the perimeter. I loved roses. And the best thing was going to the nursery and I'd bring the roses home, dig a hole, plant them. And they were just the love of my life. And then as the time went on, I found that I wasn't so interested in my roses anymore. It sounds crazy how you could love something so much and then find out you don't really care. So to go out and prune, fertilize, I found that I did it less and less and less, where it was almost a chore to tend to my roses. And that just couldn't be. It was a lot of self-denial. I couldn't believe that I didn't love my roses anymore. But it happened, and I neglected them and neglected them, and they were watered and everything, but not the kind of care I used to give them. It was really a sad feeling. And the other thing I really wanted in my yard forever and ever was the wooden rain barrels that were cut to be planters. And after years of searching, I finally found them. And I was so excited. I brought it home. My neighbor took it to the backyard. I put the potting soil. I bought all the flowers. I had all those little ceramic animals to put inside. I did it, and that joy probably lasted about 2 weeks. And I didn't even care about that. I didn't care if the flowers died in the planter. A few times I did go out and replace the flowers, but the joy that I thought it was going to give me didn't happen. And so at the end, all the flowers died and all that was left for the little animals. But I just spent less and less time outside, and it was really sad. It was something that I had loved so much. I just didn't care anymore. So something was really telling me, you know, maybe you don't belong here. You know, better to sell your house and give it to somebody who would really care for your yard and do the things, all the things that I thought I could do, but never achieved. So
then you were looking at communities.
I was looking at communities.
And you went into one community and you ended up signing that day, didn't you? Or was it the next
second
day?
I went on a Monday. I was so impressed by the lady who handles the rental leasing of the community. And she was just wonderful, to say the least. I think it was the feeling that she cared about me, and we talked a lot, and it was almost like belonging without ever being there yet. And so I went, I took my tour, I saw a one bedroom, one bath, and then I saw the 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And then of course got my great lunch. And you know, food is a big motivator. And so you know, there was just a lot churning in my head. And so that was Monday. I went back on Wednesday to see it again. And I've never done that to any community. So I went back on Wednesday and I asked her, please, could I see it again? Because it's a lot to absorb in one visit. Did I like the one bedroom? Did I like 2-bedroom? Did I like the view, this, that, and the other? And of course, there's a million amenities there. And I went on the second day and I re-looked at everything. And that an hour later, I was signing the lease papers. From moving from my house to this community took me exactly 9 days. I was packed and I was out the door and settled on the 9th day in my apartment. The movers did everything for me, unboxed and with Annette's help, put everything in place. So that evening I could sleep at my new place. It is, I like to think of as the fastest move in town. Because in 9 days, usually you're still thinking, is this what I want to do? But I was 100% positive.
But I want to touch on a key point. You didn't do it alone.
No, good grief. It wouldn't have been 9 days. It might have been years if I had to do it on my own. No, I utilized all of Annette's extra, besides selling real estate, her extra services of finding me the mover, making arrangements for everything. And my hardest decision was to decide, what will I take and what will I leave? That was a little hard.
I want to touch on a key point. So this isn't an advertisement for us. I didn't mean that, but you don't have to do it alone. If you have children, adult children, if you have friends that can help, it's basically doing exactly what we talked about before. Kimiko focused on those items she wanted to take with her to her new space. She already picked out where she was moving to. So then she focused on what she was going to take with her. And she hired a mover to pack her up, move her. And then, yes, we helped as far as unpacking. Getting ourselves-
That's a big
yeah.
task. Yes.
We helped with all of that, but there are resources that can help you to make this so you don't have to do this alone.
Well, I have no family here. I have no one. So I didn't have anybody to call upon. You know, where do I start? Who do I call? And then I really didn't know the service she had available to me. So I utilized everything, which made my move so much easier. Yes, there were some hair-raising times, you know, and I think the hardest was what I had to leave behind. And that's a little tough, but Annette's right there. You know, you can't take it. There's no place to put it. So once I realized, okay, she wins, you know, I can't take it. So I left my beautiful dining room table, the chairs, and there was just forever and ever seemed to be. But there's a big difference between I want and I need. And I didn't need the things I left behind. I loved them, but I didn't need them. So I'm now in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. And like, George, you make things fit. You do, you know, little improvising. My second bathroom is a storage room because I don't need it.
The mover actually said, because it was a huge moving truck that came, and he said, this isn't going to fit. But he goes, I have never moved this much into one apartment. But the key thing was that we had already taken measurements of the apartment, and it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And there were some things that are really important to Kimiko. So we talked to her about using one of the bathrooms as basically a storage area for her because she didn't need 2 bathrooms. And so, yes, she brought a lot with her, right?
I did.
Yep. But sometimes it can be difficult to give up some things. So if you are willing to pay for that extra space in your new apartment, which Kimiko was, to be able to have that space to put it, and you take the measurements and you know it's going to fit, everything that came off that truck
It fit,
in your apartment.
much to the chagrin of the movers.
Yeah.
We had a discussion out at the truck and she said, lady, this is not going to fit in an apartment. We've never moved a house into an apartment. And I just looked at him and I said, it's going to fit. That's all there is to it. I don't want to talk about this anymore. And the truck was full. I mean, and then I began to wonder a little bit, but as I said, Brett took all the measurements and I got to see where my couch would go and we moved things around here, there. I was going to take the bedroom on the right, but then we found out the bedroom on the left was just 18 inches bigger. It made more sense. So I switched over, but it made the logistics of the move really simple.
Well, let me back up a little bit because moving furniture, it wasn't us physically moving the furniture. We took measurements of all the furniture she wanted to take with her. We already had measurements of the apartment she was moving into, and we literally plopped the furniture on the measurements and we moved things around so that Kimiko could see what was going to fit. And then we knew exactly where the furniture was going to go. And we were able to give those to the mover, and the mover was able to put all the furniture in the places that we knew it would fit. It's planning ahead. So a move manager can do that for you, whether it be local or somewhere else. You can have those measurements done, or you can do that yourself. You can take the measurements of everything. We measured everything just to make sure it fits, because there's no point in paying for a mover to move your belongings and then have to pay for them to take it away because it didn't fit. And now trying to figure out what to do with it. Because again, we talk about making sure to leave those things that you don't want anymore, that you can't take with you, so that the estate sale person can sell everything for you. But if you take it with you and it's not there, now you're trying to figure out how to do it yourself versus just having the estate sale person do it for you.
Now, that's very true. And I really was amazed. All that truck was finally empty, and they were so happy that it actually fit. And we knew where everything was going to go. And that's what made it wonderful. Really, I think we made maybe one or two minor changes, but you consider that you moved a house into an apartment. It's just phenomenal. And sure, I don't have the space that I had before. I miss it sometimes, but what I've gained from living there it's just worth $1 million.
Let's talk about that. What are the differences? How is it living in your new space?
I love it. I had some moments when I thought, oh gosh, I missed my table. So I went to RC Willey and bought a little bitty kitchen table with little things that come up, 2 chairs. And I had to buy a kind of like, is it a buffet?
It is a buffet, yes.
Okay, a buffet, because obviously we don't have, where I live, we don't have a full kitchen. We have a microwave, a refrigerator, and a sink. And the reason for that is older people tend to start fires. So without a stove, an oven, kind of made life a little difficult. And I could improvise like the other tenants have. They bought those new cooking units that you can cook your meal in, but doesn't require heat like you think of gas or electric. But I don't know, after I got my little buffet and moved things in there, because you're lacking storage space, but you can't have everything. So there again, went back to RC Willey and bought this lovely buffet on wheels that I could use as an island if I wanted, but I wanted it for storage. But everything just meshed together. Sure, a little small. I wish it was bigger. Wish I had a 3rd bedroom, but I don't. But you make do with what's there and available. And I would say probably by the 3rd day, I was just elated. I saw people, I talked to people, something I hadn't had for years. Everybody was friendly. My meals are cooked for me, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We go downstairs to a great big dining room. I don't have to do dishes, and it was just, you made friends instantly. It was unbelievable. And so many of them came from what I lived in, being a widow. Maybe their health issues are even worse than mine. And we found we had common ground. And before you knew it, you had 25 new friends who always, when they saw you, hello, how are you? I guess they cared. They cared if you were there. If you weren't there, they inquired about you, which I found unbelievable. They'll say, oh, Joe didn't come for breakfast. Is he okay? So the management would go check on Joe and find out why he didn't come. And we've had a few incidents where it was a major issue why they were not downstairs, but everything was handled. And but I guess it's just the fact that somebody cares that I'm alive and I'm here and my depression disappeared.
I can tell that when I would talk to Kimiko, it was a world of difference. Instead of talking about her ailments, we talked about all the activities and the people that she met. It was a completely different conversation.
Oh, that I agree with. Yeah. And my ailments, in my back issues, they're all there. They're still there, but they seem to feel different. I don't know how else to explain that, but they're never going to get better. And I have to live with it, but I seem to be able to live with it better. And I don't know. I think the depression is what I noticed the most. I just, all of a sudden, they really felt like a reason to be alive, a reason to go play bingo, which I love. There are a lot of activities there that I don't participate because I'm not a card shark, so I can't even play blackjack. That's okay. We have movies, we have outings. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. It's just all these things draw you out of your room and you think, sure, I'd love to go to that place, or I'd love to go for the scenic drive, twice a week or whatever. It was all of a sudden just having a purpose in life. And let's see, I moved in the middle of December in my Speedo 9-day move. And I miss my home. I do. I love my home, but I didn't need my home. And I met the new tenants that moved into it, and they're wonderful people. And that made me feel even better that my home went to a very loving couple and a little dog named Enzo. And I don't know, then I didn't feel so bad. I don't think I even cried about losing my home because it was my dream home. But for the fact that I watched this process, my health improving, meeting the new people who bought it, who were wonderful people, and it made everything okay. And I think about my home, I do, but I would never move back if the opportunity came up, never. Because I've gained so much in living in this retirement community. It's been wonderful. I'd never backtrack. I moved in a little sooner. I thought I was going to move maybe at 80 or 85, but everything just happened. And no regrets, none, absolutely none. And my community is just wonderful.
So Kamiko, in hindsight, I'm sorry.
Oh,
In hindsight, is there anything that you would have done differently?
probably move sooner. If I could have really looked at myself in the mirror and say, lady, do you really see what's happening to you? Yeah, I would have done it a lot sooner. But it takes so long to admit that you don't want to move. You don't have to move. You're fine in this lovely home, and there's no need to move. But after you make the move and you find the change in yourself, and it is absolutely incredible. I would change nothing. I'm glad I did it, and sorry I didn't do it sooner. It would have been a lot more beneficial. Maybe I wouldn't have gone through all the depression. Leaves an emotional turmoil. It's who wants to say I'm depressed? I can't be depressed. I have everything I want, but it's just another. I don't know. It's very hard to explain unless you've ever gone through it. And nothing you do ever makes the depression go away. I could go out and buy a new couch. I could buy a new lamp. It still didn't do anything for me. It didn't bring me that peace and happiness that I wanted. So no regrets. And just like I said, wish I had done it sooner. I have no regrets. My house was offered back to me. I would never go back, not ever. So I guess this is where I'm going to spend my old age, and just loving it, every minute of it.
Well, thank you so much, Kamiko. I really appreciate you sharing your story with us, because really your story I hear so many times with other people, and it's just really good to have somebody like you be willing to share it. So thank
There's
you.
a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah.
There really is.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes. All right. So we do have, I wanted to mention our Downsizers Club. Brett and I, because we work with so many people that have gone or are thinking about going through the process, yet just yesterday we were talking about what can we do to help people to be able to be supportive and maybe get to that point where you are now, Kamiko, sooner rather than waiting. And so we're thinking about doing the Downsizers Club, and we just wanted to take a poll and see if people would be interested in it. So at this point, we don't have it put together, cemented. It's just a thought. But basically what you'd get more education about what is available to you. We do consultations. We're more than happy to we would go into your home, or we'd have other professionals come into your home depending on what you need, what service you need. Free consultations to sit down with you and so help you with the process. The resources that are available, basically you can call us up anytime and we can give you the resources that can help you through the process. And then it's professional and peer support. It helps so much when you talk to other people that are going through the same process and hearing from them what they are doing and getting ideas from each other. So we're thinking about doing this for people that basically who this would benefit, or people that are just thinking about moving in a year to 5 years, because we know it's a process. It's going to take time. So if you are at all interested in this, please do let us know. We're going to put up a poll for those people that are online. And for those of you that are in the audience, on your yellow form, we do have a checkbox that you can check off if you have an interest in this, and then we'll reach out to you and give you more information if we have enough people that are. One of the things that happened was last year before COVID, we had started doing group and helping with downsizing, just the process of it. That was very successful for those people, but we want to do it to another level and be more individualized for people. So, thank you. Yes.
So if you could put up the poll, you have polls up, great.
So we also have the registration. So if you would like to register for our next 2 events, I can't read them now, but maybe Brett can read
So
them.
in May, we have the truth about 55 plus living options. So we'll have a panel again, just talking about what are all the options here within the local community. And then on June 10th, the truth about owning and selling real estate. So what do we need to know if we own real estate, and what do we need to know if we're selling it? If we want to perhaps rent out a property, what are tax implications? So we'll have a financial person, we'll have a property manager, maybe you already have rentals or are thinking about transferring money maybe from the stock market into a rental as an income stream. So we'll cover all of the things related to real estate. So that's on June 10th. So on the poll, the first page, are both appearing? Yeah, the first page is, the Downsizers Club, if you have an interest. And if everyone says no, that makes our, I'm not even in the camera, makes our life really easy. We don't have to do anything. So we're good either way, but we just want to, how else can we help? And the seminars, so in May, we'll still have limited capacity here in the room. So if you want to be here in person, just mark to be waitlisted. Those are in the room, just check the box if you want to be back here in the room. But for those online, click waitlisted if you want to be in the room, otherwise just the first checkbox. June, we're not quite sure what's going to happen. So as you may have heard, the governor has 100% capacity starting June 1st, but it's up to then the county and the city. And we're not sure where Washoe County is or where the city is at the moment. And they're working through that. And I think at the end of this month, we'll know. So we're not sure if we'll be back to a full room or like this. So if you want to be here in the room, again, just mark that you want to be waitlisted, and then those people will get priority once we know what's going on. Did I cover everything?
Yep, you did. Perfect.
So what we'd like to do now, once the poll's gone, we'd like to open it up to questions and answers. So if the audience here or at home have questions of Annette, Kamiko, or myself, the way we'll do this, if you're at home, for those who are new, you should have the ability there to raise your hand. So in the Zoom screen down the bottom, it has raise hand if you'd like to ask a question from home, and that'll notify us and we can unmute you. And for those who are listening in via phone, as Alexa's just pointing out, we have a number of people who are dialed in. If you press *9, that'll also indicate to us you have a question you'd like to ask, and we'll unmute you. For those who are here in the room, we have a microphone set up at the back, and you're welcome to walk back to the microphone to ask your question, just one at a time, please. And then lastly, I'm missing something. For those who would rather just type in their question at home, there's a box there that says Q&A down the bottom, question and answer. So you can type in your question and we'll read it out here in the room and then answer that. So do we have anyone who's already raised their hand or typed in a question? And can I end that poll? So thank you everyone at home for responding to the poll, and those in the room on the yellow evaluation form. I just did. You have a question?
You want to go up to the microphone?
Walk up to the microphone. Kirsten's just going to turn it on. Go ahead, Leo.
Shamiko, you obviously were in depression, you had problems, but what turned that around? What event occurred to stop that and start moving forward and changing things?
I think probably it was I've known Annette for quite a while, and it was one thing we didn't say. The first meeting I went to at the library, after the meeting was over, I walked up to her and I told her, I will hire you in 8 years to sell my house. And she laughed at me, 8 years, to the month when you're going to move. And I said, yes. And you're the lady that I want. So we go way back. I moved a lot sooner than 8 years, but I think it was a conversation that I had with Annette. I was kind of tossing out ideas. I didn't know what maybe, I was already, I think, beginning to feel like I didn't belong in my house anymore. Should I rent it? Should I sell it? I even toyed the idea with reverse mortgage. But there was just something there that was just in the back of my brain that kept saying, this is not a healthy place for you. And I had a lengthy conversation with her. And so we tossed ideas that maybe you could sell your house and move to a smaller house. But the same problems would exist. I still had a house to clean because we get our apartments cleaned and everything. So we don't even have to do that. There would be a yard to maintain. And though it might be smaller, could I maintain it in my frame of mind? So I kind of actually tossed that idea out. And it also knew that I'd been looking at, retirement places and was it good, was it bad? But we just kind of really just a myriad of things went back and forth and back and forth. And then I kind of came to the idea that maybe retirement wasn't a community would not be bad. But by then I had already seen like 5 places, but I wasn't 100% sold. And so a friend of mine told me about Mountain Lakes is where I live now, and asked me, would I like to go see it? I said, sure, I have more time than money. So made a call and got an appointment to go. And the moment I walked in the door, because it's a brand new community, it just opened up in October. I was just, it was bright and cheery. And as I said, the lady, Heather, who helped me with the tour and everything was positive. There was nothing negative. And I think already on that first day, I knew that's where I wanted to live. I just knew. And the second day really culminated. Just, yes, I'm going to move and I'm going to live here.
It was definitely a process just walking, because like Kamiko said, we had multiple conversations. It wasn't just one conversation, but these conversations that you have with your family members, I mean, anything that will be key to that as far as getting you to the point where, you know what, maybe this isn't right for me. But we do consultations for people where we just sit down and go over all the different options, because sometimes it's just knowing what else is available. Where I am now doesn't work. So what else? So I'll often go into people's homes and just talk about what is it that you would like? Where do you see yourself? I mean, as far as what would be ideal for you. And then we talk about what options there are that the community has to offer.
I just wanted to follow up on your question, Leo, to Kamiko, because I think you were asking, well, when was that changing point maybe with the depression? So were you still feeling depressed all the way up to the move? And was it then socialization with others that changed things?
Well, because you have to think so much about what you're going to take and not. The depression kind of went away a little, not a lot. I knew it was still there. But I think once the move actually physically started, and I watched this furniture go out into a truck and everything. And then when I got over to Mountain Lakes, it was like, okay, this is going to be good. I just know it is. And when you have depression, you never usually look at things that way. You think, oh boy, what a lousy mistake. Look what I've done. I gave up a house to live in a 2-bedroom apartment. But once it started, it was like, this is okay. And of course, once you're sleeping there the very first night, which would never happen if I tried this by myself, it was like, this is home. this is where I'm going to live out my golden years. And it was good. I never doubted my move. Once I probably, when I signed the lease, you know, I said, this is it. And it was medication without taking pills. It really was. You know, it was like, wow, this is okay. And I never regretted the move, not even for an instant, except when I couldn't find a place to put something that I could. I missed my house, I missed my cupboards, you know, but after a while, that is not important anymore. It really isn't, because I knew my physical well-being was improving little by little. I think my cats had a harder time adjusting. They kept looking for the patio and the grass, but it wasn't around anymore. But even they adjusted. But yeah, it was instantaneous. It really was. And that doesn't seem like that's possible. But it does happen. And, you know, I mean, the depression really just disappeared, so to speak. I still have a little bit. It's hard being a widow for so long, but not the magnitude that I had before. Dinner for me was a Swanson pot pie. I didn't care to cook anymore, or go to Costco and get one of their infamous hot dogs. You know, food didn't mean anything anymore. It was almost inconsequential. But here I could get 3 lovely meals a day, you know, and I said, no dishes. And it's wonderful. It's absolutely, you get to know the chef, the waiters, everybody, and they all know you by your first name. Unbelievable. So it does a lot for your self-esteem. It really does.
Thank you, Kamiko. And I know you're the one with the master's in psychology, but from the little I know and what you tell me, it's just those steps of taking action towards change, making a decision and moving forward, continually improving is what kind of brings you out of depression. And that was you basically deciding you were going to move, signing a lease, and then all the things slowly.
No, it was very fast.
Yeah.
9 days is a record, I think, for moving. Most people take weeks and weeks, which it would have been like that if I had to do it myself. But it was.
We've just seen you shine over that time, from deciding
Yeah.
to being there, and then every time we talk to you, you're even happier again.
Yes, and you know, I think because the move went so fast, I really didn't have time to look. I don't think I even looked back at my house when it was
Busy.
time to go. It was done, and I was moving. Hopefully, then I didn't know for sure, but to a good life, a much better life than I was living. Yeah, no regrets. Would do it over and over again if the opportunity happened again like that.
Did that kind of answer your question, Leo?
Yes.
Yep. Fantastic. Someone at home, we're going to unmute. So go ahead. Ina, is it?
Ethnia?
Ethnia. Thank you, Ethnia. Thank you for putting your hand up. We love hearing voices coming through our speakers. So thank you.
Well, my question really has nothing to do with interviewing Kamiko. It's really to do with your poll. On page 2, if I don't want to go to either of those because I've already heard them before, it doesn't allow me to submit the fact
really?
that I am interested in your little club.
I don't know. I haven't.
For the online and we can
Remove you.
remove you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. And we'll try to work out why that's the case.
And then we have
Yeah.
Ruth that moment.
Thank you, Ethna.
Had a question? Oh, she may have missed that. Okay, well, we have some. Yeah, so we have a new move manager, Kirsten, and she's going to be asking the questions, but we're very excited to have her join our team. So Kirsten is going to read off people's questions.
Ruth asks, how many pets and type did you have? Or do you have?
5 cats. And I told them, if the cats can't come, then I can't move. I'm not going to get rid of them or anything. So let me bring 5 cats.
And secondly, she asked, which ones did you have to rehome,
Nobody.
if any, due to requirements of your new home? And thank you.
They
all came.
They always, Alexis knows how we smuggled them in, or we thought we were smuggling in. And
The secret's out.
Don't tell anybody. That's just our secret. People at home, it's our secret.
yeah, I don't know how it happened, but
It's all over.
it was. I had a perfect stranger come up to me and say, what were you hiding under the sheet? And I kind of tried to feign an innocent look. And I said, oh, my pets, cats perhaps? Because I guess somebody was meowing. And I said, yes. Well, they wondered why you need a sheet on the top of a cart, and acting really cool, driving, coming into the. So anyway, I said, yes. How many? I go, 5. 5 came with you? I said, if the cats couldn't come, then I couldn't move. And so we've all adjusted. It's been okay, but people still ask me about that day I was trying to surreptitiously move 5 cats into my apartment. But it worked out, and the cats are happy now and got their own window to sit in and enjoy the sun. They love that. Yes.
From Carolyn, do you still drive? If so, do you have a parking area at your facility?
Yes, I'm still blessed with the ability to drive. And no, they do not have carports, but I am handicapped. So I park right in the front of the building with the handicap things on the concrete.
They do actually have parking there. I mean, it's just not, it's open to anybody.
Oh, yeah,
So
the
it's
rest
not-
of the whole
yeah.
rest of the lot is for anybody. I guess there's more of us that are handicapped and require the special place, but maybe in time they will add more to it. Because if it is filled, like by the time I get home, then I just pick another spot, and it's not that far, so it's okay.
Yeah, so there's plenty of parking. It's just.
Oh,
not
plenty of
overcrowded.
parking. Oh, yeah, there's not a problem with the parking at all.
And from Marilyn, can Kamiko tell us where she went?
Certainly.
My place?
Yeah,
I
where
am?
did you move? Just
Oh,
give me
Mountain
a
Lake Estates on South Meadows Parkway.
So just down South Reno,
Yeah,
near the South Meadows
There's
and
a Smith's grocery store literally across the street. So those who don't drive can just walk over there if they're able to. If not, the shuttle bus will take you over.
So how many communities did you look at before you decided on Mountain Lakes?
It was 4 or 5.
Okay.
Can I say who they were?
sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I went to Cascades and I saw that. And it actually kind of sat at the top of my list of possibilities. I went to Morningstar. I went to, what is that called?
5-star.
I went to 5-star. And then I went to one even in Carson City. And I saw that, and that wasn't bad. My only problem was the drive through Washoe Valley. In the dead of winter, I wasn't really sure. I like snow. Snow does not like me. So I didn't know if that was going to be a safe drive for me.
And the reason why you drive through Washoe Valley is because your doctors are here.
That's right.
Yeah.
All my doctors and vets are here. And then that would mean a long trip back and forth. And somehow that place kind of got ruled out. But I did like the floor plan. I really, really did. And I liked the lady who was managing it, or does the leasing and stuff.
We see
And-
that a lot of people that when they move to a community, it's usually because where their doctors are, just proximity. And oftentimes it's close to where their previous residence or their current residence is, because the area, you're comfortable there. So a lot of that plays into.
It does, but my home was in Sparks. It was right next to the Costco, and it was a new Tanamero development. And I thought everything was close, but no, quite the contrary. Where I live now, I am closer to my doctors. I'm closer to the vets, everything. And I thought that was going to be a kind of a big hurdle for me, but it wasn't. Once I sat down and thought about where these offices were, there was no problem at all. And I could save an awful lot of time, going to my appointments. So no, it worked out just fine.
Well, if that's all the questions that we have, did you have a question? No, no, just scratching. Yeah. I saw the hand movement. Yeah.
I've actually got several comments that came in
Oh, we got some comments.
that
Okay.
I would like to share from the attendees at home.
They like the way I did my hair this morning.
For Kamiko, your reflections seem quite universal. Thank you. And it's great to hear your story and humanizing the decision. Thank you, Kamiko. You're very informative and well done.
Oh, thank
Very
you.
appreciate that you being here today. Thank you.
Yes, Dee Dee.
Oh, you want to move up to the microphone? Because
I
people need
can
to
bring a
be able to see.
microphone
Okay.
over.
I just wanted to say thank you to Annette and Brett for all the wonderful things they do for seniors. We are so lucky to have them in the Reno Sparks area because for a long time, there was really no one to help give us all this information at their wonderful workshops and seminars. So thank you very, very much. They're always there.
Thank you, Dee Dee. You just like seeing me blush, don't you? So do you want to just wrap up, Annette?
Yeah, well, thank you so much. We really appreciate everybody online and in the audience. And we look forward to seeing you back. And thank you, Kamiko. We really appreciate you being willing to share with us. Thanks so much. Have a great day.